Let's get into Naya Rivera. Now, every time I talk about Naya, my heart breaks because I grew up watching Glee, and the way that she died is just so upsetting and unsettling, and now her son is growing up. This headline reads, Naya Rivera's son feels guilty over her tragic drowning. Oh my gosh, my heart breaks. Because he was too afraid of a big spider to throw his mom a rope at age 4 years old. Did your stomach sink? Mine just sunk. I literally feel so sad for this kid. Naya's ex-husband Ryan Dorsey has revealed the horrifying moment their then 4-year-old son witnessed the death of his mother on July 8th, 2020. Naya disappeared while boating on a lake outside of Los Angeles 5 years ago. Her son, Josie, was found sleeping on a boat, but his mother was nowhere to be found. 5 days later, her body was discovered, and it looks like it was due to a drowning. This is a dangerous lake, and it was a little bit, mysterious why she went there in the first place. I know there's still a lot of questions surrounding that. She vanished after renting a pontoon boat with her son. While he was later found alone on the watercraft little boat, Naya was never made out of the water and never back onto the vessel. So he was there all alone for hours as they looked for him and his mother. Here's a clip of Naya's family doing an interview talking about what they said to her before she went off onto that lake.
And do you remember what you said in those final
I told her, I go, well, the water's getting choppy. And I said, I love you. And call me. Call me when you get off the water.
Yolanda talked to her daughter from that rented pontoon boat as the devoted single mom set out for adventure on Lake Piru with her son. But hours later, the then 4-year-old Josie was found by another boater, asleep, adrift, alone wearing a life vest. Naya was gone.
So Ryan Dorsey is now doing interviews, and he says that Naya and her son, their son, were swimming on the lake when she noticed the boat they had rented had started to drift away. As she and Josie, her son, swam back to the boat, he was able to grab a hold of the tanks, and the son was able to pull himself onto the boat. But it looks like Naya was too exhausted to get herself back on. It looks like Ryan says that their son shared that he said the last thing she said was his name, and then she went under and he didn't see her anymore. It just rocks my world that he had to witness her last moment. He did this interview with People magazine. Josie's now 9 years old and still feels guilt over not being able to save his mother. Something he said over and over again is that he was trying to find a life raft and there was a rope, but there was a big spider on the rope and he was too scared to throw it. And that must be heartbreaking. I mean, since 4 years old, he's been traumatized with the loss of his mother, and now at 9 he still feels this kind of shame. And I think anyone in their right mind would just wish that he could be released from that pain.
It was a windy day. It's just they didn't have an anchor. Josie said the wind was blowing, and the crazy part is that Josie told me, he told all of us, but he said, and he didn't tell me this for a while after. He's like, we jumped in and I said, are you sure about this? She's like, yeah. She's like, oh my God, are we gonna die? And Mommy said, don't be silly. He said, and we jumped in and that's what happened, you know? I guess the boat was getting away from them, and she told him to go back to the boat, and he swam back to the boat. And I still can't figure out, it doesn't make much sense how he was able to get on and she wasn't.
It seems like Ryan is still grateful to have their son here, saying, if we had lost both Naya and Josie, I don't know how I would continue on with my life. I don't know what I would have done, but I'm sure it wouldn't have been good. So sending blessings to their family and some peace and healing to Josie. Oh, poor kid. Let's get into Wendy Williams. Now, Wendy Williams was robbed by her own son. This is so unfortunate. Now, this headline, my son mishandled my money. No, I'm sorry, Miss Wendy, but he robbed you. But I still love him. She's too forgiving. I mean, literally too forgiving. The fact that she forgave Kevin, her ex-husband, so many times after he spent all of her money, got a woman pregnant, had another baby, and could care less about her, left her to rot in these facilities. I'm really against Kevin and Kevin Jr. at this point. While Kevin Jr., her son, has apologized for past mistakes and inappropriate behavior, the court is not convinced that he can keep her safe. Can you imagine? He's like in his early 20s. He's what you would think capable of keeping her safe. But no, that's why we're in this mess, because he offered to take care of his mother, brought her down to Florida, stole her phone, stole her credit cards, spent all of her money. The bank was calling, hey, Miss Wendy, why is someone draining your accounts? could not get a hold of her, and that's why she's in this guardianship, because her own spoiled child who's been given everything robbed her for $100,000 yacht dates and things like that. This new documentary showcases Wendy's life in an assisted living facility in which she's confined to a room on the 5th floor where she doesn't get fresh air, no internet, and no one can come visit her. So it's like prison. Now, in my opinion, Wendy needs to be freed. Maybe she has issues with drinking. A lot of people do, but she doesn't need to be in this kind of environment. It's actually hurting her. A recent article came out with the headline, Wendy Williams moved to memory unit after a boozy lunch. Wendy Williams ended up locking herself up in the memory unit of the assisted living facility she's called home for 8 months. But it's not because of her dementia diagnosis. It's because she got drunk in the building's restaurant. An employee at the facility who has had numerous interactions with Wendy from the time she's arrived told TMZ that Wendy was initially placed on the 3rd floor of the building, which does not have restrictions on residents coming and going. She was there for a long time, and when supervisors found out, were told that they were furious that Wendy was served alcohol. Our sources say shortly after the incident, supervisors decided to move Wendy to the 5th floor memory unit, where she would not have free access in the elevator. The reason, they didn't want her going into the restaurant and getting drunk again, which is why she's now on this floor with the people who cannot remember anything, and they're telling her she has dementia, and she's locked up. It's so unfortunate because she's out here doing interviews saying, I don't have dementia.
Charlamagne the God is revealing that he had a phone call with Wendy Williams over the holidays and says based on his conversation, Wendy Williams could easily return to radio.
She seemed perfectly fine to me. Like, Wendy sounded like she could do radio tomorrow if she wanted to.
You reached out to her, she reached out to you. How did it happen? Oh, she called you.
Yeah, and I don't know what incapacitated means in regards to dementia or whatever it is they say she was dealing with. But no, there ain't nothing incapacitated about Wendy Williams.
How was her energy? How was
She sounds like Wendy Williams.
Now, Wendy will be reevaluated by doctors who her new lawyer has found for her. She says she does not have frontotemporal dementia, a condition that gets worse in time, and she has gotten significantly better since the Lifetime A&E documentary. You gotta admit, I mean, she was a mess on there, and she seems pretty coherent now doing documentaries and interviews. Let's get into Kanye West. Kanye West and Bianca might be headed towards divorce, and I think this would be the right thing, especially for Bianca if she wants to save herself. Kanye and Bianca are heading their separate ways after 2 years of marriage. She's had enough. The swastika t-shirt he was selling was the last straw. She told him that's not who she is, and she can't be associated with that. He's saying that he has dominion over her and that he's selling those shirts. It reflects on her, and she doesn't want any part of this. I mean, good for you, Bianca, if it's true.
Bianca, what took you so long? We've all been waiting for you to make your great escape. And let's not call this divorce between Kanye West and Bianca a separation. Let's call this an escape. She is escaping, hopefully with her life.
Now, an insider notes that Kanye isn't too upset about this divorce because he believes Bianca will come back to him at some point, and she has a past of coming back after they split. Quote, he's saying that she's just mad at him, but right now she's told him that she is completely done. This isn't the first time that they have been plagued by split rumors. In October 2024, there was reports that they had been broken up and that he planned to move to Tokyo, and she was spotted in Australia with her family, so I thought that they were done then. An eyewitness who was at the Grammys also claimed they saw Kanye and Bianca arguing. She didn't look like she was fully on board with the scandal he wanted to create on the red carpet. It makes me concerned for what their relationship is like behind the scenes.
Bianca Censori, believe it or not, used to smile. When I Google old pictures of her, there are pictures of her smiling. But this is the face we see of Bianca Censori. No expression, no feeling or emotion being shown on her face at all. And even last night when she is dropping her fur coat and looking fully nude in front of the world, no expression. And that goes for Kanye West, who right now to the world is looking like her handler.
A second source claims that the couple's recent split rumors were not due to the Grammy scandal because Bianca actually found it exciting. It's erotic imagery, that's how they see it. Kanye was previously married to Kim, and he never put out Kim that way, definitely not in this kind of way, which is telling on how he respects or how he views Bianca. Kim recently spoke about her divorce with Kanye in the Kardashian show because, again, they're trying to figure out what the hell to talk about. She said, I've been there where you don't foresee something happening that really changes a person's personality, speaking to Khloe, and that they're not the same person and you can't get that person back, but you can't live with the new person. So again, divorce. It's tougher when you don't want your marriage to end off of personal reasons, but circumstances change that force your marriage to end when you weren't planning on that. And that's not really the outcome you want, but there's no other option, which she's right. She had to get out of there. Let's take a look at one of these clips together.
I've kept every single Yeezy. For me, I think this is like me holding on to the Kanye that I know.
Also, are they like technically not allowed to be sold because of everything he's done against the Jewish community? Actually, let's talk about that, because on Instagram at Sunhooks, I made a post about how Hilary Duff got involved in this Kanye situation. Her man, Matthew Coma, actually sold shirts saying F Kanye on them to help Holocaust survivors. Hilary Duff and her husband are changing the lives of survivors because money from their F Kanye shirts are going to help mental health treatment. Matthew announced a plan to sell the shirts on Tuesday with a pic of the shirt. This came after Kanye launched his NAZI shirt, that nasty symbol. We're gonna go ahead and blur that one out too, because I don't even want that on the channel. But yeah, so he posted on his page, so this is just allowed, and then he decided to make his own shirt to say F Kanye, which I'm sure he wasn't happy about. He probably sold more of those.
Just a friendly reminder that Kanye West isn't saying those things because he's bipolar. Manic episode, okay. But he is saying those things because he's an asshole. That is not bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder does not cause you to be anti-Semitic or homophobic, all that jazz. It's him being an asshole.
It looks like the organization that Matthew is sending the money to has actually confirmed that he did send that money over and that they made about $18,000. Wow. It looks like he's also matching the donations dollar for dollar. So it's not even sales. He's also giving up his own money. And it turns out that all this media attention around Hilary Duff's husband's shirt has actually brought a lot of attention to the charity, and they are able to help about 40,000 survivors living in the US. So, you know, kudos to that. We actually really appreciate that. Is like some good news out of something so really dark. Thank you for watching this clip from the Let's Get Into It podcast. To view the full episode, visit the link listed below.